Okay, occasionally I don't talk about movies on this channel. I want this channel to be for me to talk about stuff that interests me, and most of the time, that's film. However, today I want to talk about the boxing rematch between YouTubers KSI and Logan Paul, because it's something I've been really interested in lately, and I want to talk about why I think it's good for YouTube as a whole, and also why so many people are invested in it, and what makes this event so much more compelling than the regular run-of-the-mill YouTube drama. Now I know when this is brought up, the first thing that most people say is that this is incredibly cringeworthy. And yes, okay, some of it definitely is.
JJ has no dick! JJ has no dick! JJ has no dick! JJ has no dick!
I'll give you that, but I do honestly think there's more to it than just some of the cringy trash talk. And even some of the trash talk is still entertaining. It's not nearly as bad as tons of trash TV and trash entertainment out there. And with this, that's just one aspect of it. Let's look at some of the other parts of this thing. First and foremost, the personalities involved. What makes this rivalry fun to watch? I think it's actually the similarities between these two. KSI and Logan Paul are very equal opponents in terms of internet popularity, in terms of work ethic, in terms of confidence. They're on a very similar level. There's no big brother in this, or someone who's clearly dominating the conversation of the press conferences. They may have different approaches, but both KSI and Logan are exceedingly confident, and that helps build the hype. Both of them have said how they're gonna absolutely destroy the other. There's not one that's like, I'm gonna destroy him, and the other one's like, yeah, I guess I'll try my best. Both are insanely confident in their abilities and in them winning, and that makes me at least more interested to see the fight. The thing that's also really great is the way that these characters, or people, with YouTubers, the line where one starts and one ends is a bit more blurred, have been built up over the years. When you watch someone for hours and hours over years and years, you're understandably attached to that personality. You see them grow, you see them in different situations, you feel like you know them. It's part of what makes YouTubers so appealing as celebrities these days, because the experience of watching them can feel far more personal to the fans. When they're not known for boxing, and you've come to like them beyond that, whichever one of them you like, if either of them, and then they get into the ring and into this competition, it makes it more exciting. I can think of a few examples, but I'm gonna go with this one. My dad loves watching tons of different competitive sports. One of them is cycling. And when someone from our home country finishes the race first, he gets really into it, and he'll get emotional, and he's invested, and that's just based on the sport and that the guy is from the country. Sure, there are a few interviews here and there, but it's not mostly based on the person, and he's still really invested in it. Take that feeling, and then slot in someone you've watched for hours and hours over years and years, and you can see why people get really into this. And just like with any other sporting event, for example football, like a lot of my friends get really into, it is just fun to root for someone and get invested in it and wait to see the result. Something else is that neither of these guys are perfect, and they can both be pretty polarizing. Both have done some not great stuff in the past, both can have their unlikable moments. It's up to you to decide if one is likable or one is worse, or if they're comparable or whatever. But my point is, it can be really easy to root for Logan Paul and then really not like KSI, or vice versa, depending on who you're already a fan of. Or, if you don't like either of them, you get to see them beat each other up. So, it's a win-win. Something else quite compelling about this from both sides is that both these guys have storylines to them that their fans can get invested in. You can easily see a narrative for both of these guys leading up to this. KSI started out not very athletic, turned into this athlete with hard work, won a fight, then got a bit too arrogant and cocky, didn't win, and now wants to prove himself and win this convincingly. Logan's been growing for a long time, made a massive horrible mistake, and now is trying to find redemption. If you wanted to make a Creed or Rocky style film about either of these guys, I think you could. More so around KSI, but still. There is a narrative around both of these guys that you can look into if you're a fan of them. Also, it's fun because people have been following not only these YouTubers, but also this rivalry for a while. This has been going on for well over a year now. It's a rematch. The first one was a draw, so it's exciting to see it get settled. And when you have these two YouTubers that you know colliding, it is a really interesting kind of crossover. It's a collab in a really different kind of way. From the perspective of someone who watched KSI and didn't really watch Logan Paul, I knew Logan Paul as that guy who made kind of cringeworthy videos that people made fun of, and then the whole Japan thing happened, and then he was essentially the villain for this boxing match. And I'm sure something similar can be said for people who knew about Logan beforehand and found out more about KSI through all of this. Then there's also a part of it that I think most people have got to respect, even if you think this whole thing is a clown show, and that is the physical, real aspect of it. Because ultimately, this ends in a boxing match, in a fight. It's not just online trash talk. They're going to get in the ring as professionals and fight each other with no headgear. And that is a really entertaining way to settle this kind of thing. They have to put real work into it, and I think it's fair to say that they're both putting the work in. Both these guys obviously value their pride and being the top dog, so they're gonna take this seriously, and that means they're gonna work really hard for it. And I gotta respect that. It's a very real and visceral conclusion to this sort of rivalry, and there's a definite winner and loser, unless they draw again, but, I doubt that'll happen. And that's what makes this even more entertaining, the competitive aspect of it. Again, like rooting for a person or team in any other sport. And finally, how this affects YouTube. Firstly, how it legitimizes YouTube more as a platform. And this is besides the whole DAZN thing and this event being picked up by the biggest boxing promoter and his company and all that, which in itself is very impressive and shows the power of YouTube. But even that first event, where it was just the YouTubers and their teams, they put on a fantastic show, like with the production value and everything. Because from TanaCon to Fusi's concert to the Challenger Games, YouTube events are notoriously terrible, disorganized laughingstocks. And this was a proper event with pretty great production value. So yeah, I would say this is just good for YouTube all around. And also, all in all, I think it's a good thing for the sport of boxing. Not only are these guys taking the boxing seriously, but it's bringing a lot of new eyes to the sport. I've been getting more interested in boxing recently, and that might be because I'm a big fan of the Rocky films, and also some of my friends are into it, but I can't deny that in some way, even if it is subconscious, which honestly it's most likely also just conscious, this stuff has probably gotten me more interested in the sport. Not even probably, it has. And speaking of YouTube, something that I don't think anyone can really complain about, this fight and the lead up to it provides so much content for YouTubers. With the guys involved themselves, of course they have the press conferences and they're face to face, they can make videos about those, about the fight, about their training, even documentaries, which actually I think Can't Lose is quite a good documentary if you're into this stuff. Then, for the people close to these guys, like Vidal or the Sidemen, they can make videos and podcasts giving their takes, which can be entertaining and interesting. And then, even if you aren't invested in this fight, or aren't interested in either of these two, so many great content creators make entertaining videos discussing the topic. Jackmate and PewDiePie with the first fight, and then just in general, Andre Turbea and True Jordy, just to name a few. Some really funny and or insightful content comes from this. True Jordy especially. His content gives a really good insight into this through both his and Lawrence's takes on the situation, and with his connections to the people involved, but then the videos are also just entertaining on their own.
I think about this fight once a day, at least.
And it's the best wank you'll have all day.
He just makes good stuff in general. Check him out if you haven't already. And even if you really don't like this, or just want to see someone making fun of it, there are tons of videos out there for that as well.
Yeah, we here now, y'all.
I thought you guys would shut up now since I beat Deji's ass.
Yes, we as a nation are fuming you beat our national treasure comedy shorts gamer in a boxing match.
So with all of that, I don't think anyone can argue that this event doesn't bring a lot of entertainment, even if you don't like the event itself. And if you do, there's just tons more for you. So all in all, that's what I think of the KSI Logan Paul fight. Despite all of its faults and some of the cringier parts of it, I find this to be one of the most entertaining things happening on YouTube right now. In itself, and also in all the content it provides for other channels. I think it's good for the platform, and I'm really looking forward to this fight. It is fun to get invested in this sort of thing, honestly. Not invested to the point where I'll be heartbroken over the result, or that I'm going out trying to beat up the Pauls in the streets or whatever, but invested in the same way people get invested in movies or in other sporting events. Anyone who's ever been rooting for a team or a person in a big sporting event, with the hype and the build-up and then watching it live on the day, it is fun. Who do I want to win? KSI. I enjoy most of KSI's content. Not all of it, but most. And if you watch interviews and podcasts with him, he just seems like a really likable, down-to-earth guy. More so than he might in some of his YouTube videos. Again, that difference between YouTubers and their personalities is kind of blurred sometimes. And I've been following him as a YouTuber for a while. I've enjoyed his evolution into a much better content creator in my opinion, in a few ways, including with the Sidemen, and how he's grown as a person, and I've followed his trip through this boxing pretty much from the start. I wasn't really following what was happening pre the Weller fight, but I watched the Weller fight live, was pretty invested in the Logan fight, and have been interested in this fight ever since. I don't hate Logan Paul, I don't watch his content, and I think he can be kind of charismatic sometimes, but generally speaking, I don't especially like him for both the past and some of the ways he is in the present, so yeah, I'm rooting for KSI. Who will win? I don't know. That's what's so exciting about it. Logan does seem to have an edge, as in the height, the reach, the year of training, and he is just a really big guy. Not saying that KSI isn't looking like he's ready for a fight, I'm just saying this looks a bit like Creed versus Drago. Which hey, makes it even more fun to root for KSI. But regardless of who you're rooting for, if either of them, I hope this video shined a light on why people are really into this, if you didn't really understand that, and how this isn't just a total cringe fest, and in a few ways, I think provides a lot of solid entertainment. So, those are my thoughts on the KSI Logan Paul rematch. What do you think about this? Do you care? Do you even know about this? I don't really know if anyone in my audience will watch this, but hey, I wanted to talk about it. There's an MCU video coming pretty soon, don't worry. Anyway, let me know your thoughts down below in the comments. While you're at it, be sure to like this video, check out my Instagram and Twitter at BHL_Hudson, and subscribe for more videos like the one you just watched. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.